point here where there's a real possibility that it might be a team that drafts Shedeur that we haven't even connected him to. Somebody that would be an outlying quarterback team. Again, this is not any evidence or reporting, but I'm just giving you a team like the Seattle Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals, the Dallas Cowboys, a team that we've never linked to Shedeur could all of a sudden step into the mix because they have a high grade on him. Their pick comes up tonight. He's available, and even though they don't have a need, he would be the highest rated player on their board. That could happen this evening.
Interesting. And if he goes to the Dallas Cowboys, we all lose our mind. 70 total picks will be made this evening at Lambeau Field. What else should we expect as we head into rounds 2 and 3 this evening?
Well, there's some good players here right now. I think you're looking at some quality running backs. This is supposed to be a great running back class. Travion Henderson is going to go high tonight. The Ohio State running back, Caleb Johnson, the Iowa running back. There are some good running backs still left on the board this evening. And there are a lot of players that still had some first-round grades that will appeal to teams. Of course, it's always about the quarterbacks. We mentioned Shedeur Sanders. Also, Tyler Shuck, I would think, would go relatively high tonight. Jalen Milroe has a chance to go relatively high tonight, and some other good quarterbacks that are out there like Will Howard and Kyle McCord as well, along with Quinn Ewers.
All right, we're looking forward to it. Browns are going to kick things off tonight. First pick of the second round. Adam Schefter, of course, will be on hand for all of it. Shefty, thank you.
All right, the big question is, where will Shedeur go? The Browns are the favorites to draft Sanders at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. With the Raiders holding the second shortest odds, Sanders is a favorite to be the 33rd overall pick, with Ohio State running back Travion Henderson the second favorite. And joining us from Green Bay as our front office insider, Mike Tannenbaum, alongside NFL analyst Peter Schrager. Mike T, I'll start with you. All we've been talking about is where will Shedeur Sanders land leading up to the NFL draft. How does Shedeur go from first-round expectations to sliding past the Steelers on day 2?
At the end of the day, I mean, the Steelers looked at what they could do at 21, picking Derek Harmon, a very good defensive tackle, compared to their options at quarterback, obviously Shedeur Sanders amongst others. I was very surprised, and here's why. When you give up a second-round pick and $30 million a year for DK Metcalf, and you have a very productive player like Shedeur Sanders, I would have taken him because he would have given you the best chance to maximize George Pickens and DK Metcalf. Now that you're only picking at 83, your options are very limited. Now, maybe they have a handshake deal with Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they have an agreement in principle with Atlanta for Kirk Cousins. But their options are dwindling at quarterback, and I was surprised that Sanders slid past 21.
Yeah, and Peter, you're as dialed in as anyone. Does passing on Shedeur Sanders signal that Pittsburgh is maybe going all in on Aaron Rodgers?
I think so. I think they were all in before the Shedeur Sanders draft experience last night. And I honestly feel like Rodgers did what he did in a way that I think was pretty transparent. I could tell you, he went up to the New York Giants and said, hey, look, I have no timeline. I'm not sure when I'm coming. And if you guys want to move on, go for it. Giants decided to do that. Giants pivoted and they said, all right, we'll get Russell Wilson. We'll get Jameis Winston. Oh, and we'll get Jackson Dart. The Steelers, on the other hand, they didn't. They said, okay, take your time. We're here. And I don't think drafting Shedeur Sanders would have helped the courting of Aaron Rodgers in any way. Now, Rodgers has the same situation he had for the last 2 months, and he can make the decision when he wants. However, the Steelers are a bit of a corner, as Coach T is saying here, and Mike T is saying here. And I'll tell you, the truth of the matter is, they don't have a second-round pick, so you're not getting a reliable starter, or at least a starting prospect, on day 3 of the draft unless you're moving up and getting someone in the second round.
Yeah, Shedeur Sanders and everyone else really surprised that he slid to day 2. And Peter, one other major round 1 headline is the Giants trading back into the first round to take Jackson Dart at 25. Do the Giants see Dart as a better QB or just a better fit than Shedeur Sanders?
I think they saw him as a better quarterback prospect. You can't blame the Giants for not taking Shedeur Sanders here. They spent their time, their money, and their entire fall doing all of the due diligence. They also did it with Jackson Dart. They were at his pro day. They have connections to the Ole Miss program that are as thick as you can imagine, whether it's Joe Judge, their former head coach, who works every day there in the building with Jackson Dart, or if it's Charlie Weiss Jr., who calls the plays over at Ole Miss, and his relationship with Brian Dable and so many people within the Giants organization. And then the last piece, of course, would be the connection to Ole Miss through Eli Manning and his connection to the program and his ties with the Giants. They spent a lot of time with both quarterbacks. They believe Jackson Dart is the better quarterback. Fit, maybe, or just on the board, he was higher than Sanders.
Yeah, I'm sure this decision is something that'll follow both of these quarterbacks for their NFL careers. And then Mike T, the Jaguars took a big swing, trading up, say, Travis Hunter at number 2. What's your take on Jacksonville going all in on Hunter?
I love the player. I hate the value. Travis Hunter has a chance to be a generational player, both at receiver and at corner. But when you are building a team and you're in year one and the amount of variables and unknowns you have about your own roster, it's almost impossible to justify giving up a future first-round pick. You may love Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence may not be a good fit. Next year, there's going to be a lot of great quarterbacks. What happens if you have a lot of injuries? What happens if you need a dominant pass rusher and a Myles Garrett type of player who's within striking distance? I would not have allowed a first-round pick in the future to be used in year one of a program. But Travis Hunter should be a great player for Jacksonville.
Yeah, Travis Hunter expected to be a generational talent in the NFL. Also, me and him just matching today. This is my inspo for today's outfit.
Yes,
I
like that.
With the insight. Thanks so much, guys. Day 2 of the NFL draft will soon be underway. Shedeur Sanders waiting to hear his name called. The Browns and Saints may have passed on Shedeur in the first round, but Cleveland and New Orleans could still choose him to fill their quarterback needs. The Browns own 2 of the first 4 second-round picks, while New Orleans looms at number 40. We are with both the Browns and the Saints, but first let's start out with Jeremy Fowler, who's in Cleveland. And Jeremy, the Browns have the 1st and 4th pick tonight. What are you hearing about their strategy on day 2?
The Browns have serious leverage today leading up to 7 p.m. They intend to use it. Watch for offensive tackle as a potential position that they try to address. Word out of teams in the late first round last night is they believe the Browns were looking at trying to get back in, possibly for Ohio State offensive tackle Josh Simmons, who went to the Kansas City Chiefs at 32. So if there's another tackle that they love, they might just take him outright at number 33. And then, of course, you have the quarterback question. So the Browns recognize that Shedeur Sanders is definitely good day 2 value, and he does have some love in the building, particularly his ability to process at the line of scrimmage. One source here told me he has like a computer mind a little bit, so definitely some love. We'll see what happens. But another name of quarterback to watch, Louisville's Tyler Shuck. There are multiple teams picking in the early second round that are making the connection right now, Browns and Shuck. And I do know that the Browns would not have been surprised if Tyler Shuck had snuck into the late first round last night. So they've definitely done their homework on that particular player.
Okay, so there's that. Jeremy, thank you so much. Let's go from Cleveland to New Orleans, where the Saints are also in the running for Shedeur Sanders. And Lindsey Theory is there right now. And Lindsey, the question is as simple as this. Are the Saints looking to draft a quarterback tonight?
Amina, yes, but tonight, that's the big question. The question is when, and it is certainly no lock that they are going to do it with their 2nd round pick. One source telling me we are not going to force a quarterback. And here's why. Look at the history of Kellen Moore. Last season in Philadelphia, he was able to win with Tanner McKee and Kenny Pickett. Go back to 2022 in Dallas. He was able to win with Cooper Rush. So the Saints' mindset going into this quarterback search is that they might not have a franchise quarterback available to pick, but they know that Kellen Moore can sometimes do more with less. So they are not going to reach. They are not going to force the issue. They're going to make sure the grade matches the value. And Amina, because I know this is the question that everybody wants to know, no, I do not expect for the Saints, based on conversations I'm having right now, to select Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, a lot of people are also surprised that the Saints did not take Shedeur Sanders in that first round as well. We'll have to wait until later tonight to see what happens. Lindsey, thanks so much for the insight.
All right, let's bring in Anita Marks here, and I got to give it to her. She called it yesterday. She said, I don't know if Sanders is going in the first round. I think Jackson Dart might be the 2nd quarterback taken off the board, and here we are. Okay, but now we're into the 2nd round. Cleveland has 2 picks in the top 5. There are a lot of people thinking that Shedeur might go to the Browns now. Do you think that's a good pick?
Yeah, so our own Matt Miller as well as Mel Kiper both have their mock 2nd round. Sanders going to the Browns with the number 1 pick tonight. Now, keep in mind, not only do the Browns pick at 33, but they also pick at 36. Before them at 34 is the Texans. They have C.J. Stroud, right? Before them, or after them at 35 is Tennessee, and they just got their quarterback in Cam Ward. So why not go with a better player, of course, and everyone has a different perspective, right? That's on the board, and possibly Sanders can still be there for the Cleveland Browns at 36. I say Luther Burden, wide receiver out of Missouri. This guy is explosive. 3-level wide receiver, unbelievable yak, averaging 12 to 13 yards per catch in a Missouri offense that was not spectacular. He takes the top off the coverage. This young man is really something special. So why not the Cleveland Browns with that 33 pick go for a player that's got a lot more value than a question mark in Sanders, who is going to be more of a project at the quarterback position, and you could still get him at 36. And to take Luther, 20-1, so some better odds there. Right now, if you're going to wager that that Sanders is going to go first tonight, it's already at like minus 300. So some better value with maybe some other players out there that Cleveland could take with the first pick tonight.
Just to pick your brain, though, do you think he's going to Cleveland, Shedeur?